So just to recap, after my 8-year military career, my divorce signified for me, never really considered that I would have to figure this out and figure out how to stabilize the family by myself. So as we dig into the second part of this, I really want you to understand that I have been there. I've done that. I understand where you are and the challenges that you're facing as you're trying to decide on this entrepreneurship venture. In 2010, I took a job in workforce development as a veteran evaluator. I built a program from scratch with a couple of coworkers, real work, what I was good at. And when I took it, what I almost felt was relief. I could take care of my family and the bills would get paid. But underneath the relief was something quieter. I didn't say out loud. My heart was still out there in the business world, waiting for me to come back for it. So I kept a foot in both places. At nights and after the kids were down, I worked as a government contracting fellow, tinkering I called it. Though it never felt small at the time, I chased the contracts the way I chase everything else, another version of the same hope. We won some, but winning a government contract as a small player is only a kind of cycle, always the groomsman, never the groom. So in 2013, I became the director of a veteran department, an extension of the same first. Worked closely with the Small Business Center, the Small Business Center's conferences. It felt really good. People thanked me, and it also felt as if I was honest with myself. Strangely passive, like I had written the song and handed it to someone else to perform. I couldn't always tell if I was actually building towards something or just getting close enough to watch what other people built. 2019, our big break came. We were selected to run a $3 million business, and for a while it felt like it finally cracked it. The business gave me the resources I never had before, and I poured them into the real estate development. The same dream I chased since 2008, except this time it looked like it was working. 7 projects developed successfully. For the first time in over a decade, I thought I found my stride. My mother-in-law passed away. 2 years of fighting cancer, and then she was gone. In the weeks after, everything else went quiet enough that I had to actually look at what I'd built. I drove out to the flagship project, the one I'd staked my name on, and stood on the site, and I watched dirt moving from one corner of the lot to another. Not toward anything, just moving, so it would look like something was happening. Shortly thereafter, my phone rang, and the general contractor needed another $600,000. That's when I knew I wasn't behind schedule, I was doomed. And I had been doomed for a while, I just hadn't stopped long enough to see it. Invoices unpaid, sites in chaos, and a future that had already evaporated. And I was the last one to find out. And that was the moment of truth. Not the grief itself. The grief just forced the stillness I had been avoiding for years. What I saw in the stillness was the truth. I hadn't broken the cycle at all. I had just built a more expensive version of it. I went into overdrive, so I started calling in every resource I had, people who actually could help, not just people who give advice, solution after solution, narrowing in, trying to find a thread that could pull the project back from the edge. Then the general contractor called angry, and we went back and forth, both of us raising our voices until something in me just stopped. And I remember thinking, why am I arguing with someone I'm paying? That wasn't a business relationship anymore. That was me negotiating for scraps of respect from a man that was on my payroll. And I fired him on the spot. No plan for the next move, no backup contractor lined up, no idea how to finish the site, just a decision that I wasn't going to keep operating from a position that small. And what followed was 8 months of litigation and counting, because it's still in the courts. And he came back with a lien on the project and claiming unpaid invoices that weren't real. A legal fight I never asked for, layered on top of a construction fight I was already losing. The call came from the bank, not the GC, not the courts, the bank. Remember those 2 years you had before your interest-only payment began, the woman said? Even and polite, like she was confirming an appointment. That period starts now. And sat with that for a second, waiting for the rest. And you're not in the same financial place you used to be, she continued. So we're moving you into special issues department. We're here to help, but right now you need to get your life back in order so we can support you. And here I am thinking about my family and how I was able to help my family in this situation that I've got us in. And special issues, that was a phrase that stuck. Not delinquent, not default, special issues. Like I was a case file instead of a person with a name. And that was the moment the ground actually gave out. The lawsuit I could fight, the GC I could replace, but this was the bank telling me politely that the clock I didn't know was running had just run out. And the version of myself who'd built 7 successful projects, who landed $3 million business, a successful airman and a successful employee, had finally broken the cycle, wasn't going to be enough to get through what came next. I wasn't behind on the project anymore. I was behind on my life.